Things can change quite rapidly, can't they? We fell in love with this house when we first saw it, surrounded by fields and woods, tucked away at the end of a lane, and we've loved it ever since. Well, I say we. My husband died suddenly last year, but the place had so many good memories, I decided to stay on. I was managing very well, getting used to being on my own and fending for myself. And then 2 occurrences changed things around quite dramatically. The first was my knee packing up, closely followed by the COVID virus. To begin with, I was sure that I could manage. I'd become a convert to supermarket food deliveries and a dab hand at Skyping and WhatsApping. Then, out of the blue, came the shielding letter. I'd totally forgotten about my heart condition. I was now quarantined for months. Initially, I busied myself about the house, sending in my food order and chatting online in the evenings, but as the days went into weeks, my once comforting home gradually turned into a place of imprisonment, and with it a new mood gradually descended on me. Getting up each day became an effort, general activities became a chore, and my usual enthusiasm for doing things slowly ebbed away. Dark, negative thoughts created empty feelings of worthlessness. I knew I was sliding into depression. It was while I was absent-mindedly pegging out washing that she first appeared on the wall. She jumped up so quickly it gave us both a fright. She didn't run off straight away, though. She paused and looked hard at me, with a piercing animal gaze, as if she was puzzling out whether I was friend or foe. Then she calmly turned and walked away, pausing to give a brief look at me, a sort of final judgment, before she disappeared. That night, deep in the woods, I could hear the fox family screeching and yelping. The next day, she appeared in the garden, picking up dropped bits of bird food, meagre pickings. She ate them, leapt up on the wall, and then trotted off. It was then that I noticed that her right back leg was injured. As she disappeared, noises came from the bushes, and a bevy of cubs followed her into the undergrowth. All day long, that injured leg stayed in my thoughts. How was she feeding those cubs? Was she still able to hunt, or was she reliant solely on scavenging? I felt duty-bound to help her. I raided the fridge for leftovers and carefully placed them on the wall. It wasn't long before she tentatively appeared, glancing furtively around her and freezing when she saw me. After a few seconds, she moved towards the food and carefully, gingerly picked it up. She carefully placed it in her mouth, failing to get all of it. Some of it dropped on the ground. She looked for it and then looked at me and then gave it up as a bad job, trotting off with the food carefully stored in her mouth. Shortly after, I could hear the cubs yelping when she arrived. It pleased me to know they were being fed. That evening, I found her sat on the wall waiting. And as I approached with the food, she jumped down, waited until I'd moved away, and then did as before, taking the food to her cubs. But this time, she cautiously came back and picked up the dropped pieces, keeping one eye on me carefully while she was collecting it. After a few days, a pattern of morning and evening feeds was established. She always kept her own social distancing, jumping down behind the wall when I appeared with the food and taking it to her cubs, by now secreted close by. I was beginning to run out of leftovers, so I put dog food on my supermarket order. That seemed to go down well. But she always duly gave it to the cubs, only feeding herself from the leftovers from the bird table. So I started to scatter peanuts on the ground. I began to look forward to her company, keen to get a glimpse of her ever-growing cubs. Bit by bit, I could feel this new responsibility changing my mood. Some evenings I would sit outside with my supper and wait for her. Other evenings she would be sat or even lying on the wall, her bushy tail dangling over the edge, waiting for me. She never pestered me or took advantage, but always waited patiently. And when we had finished the food exchange, she'd jump down from the wall, pick up the peanuts and trot off. Occasionally I got a glimpse of the cubs, but she always kept them at a safe distance. Occasionally she would just lie there, exhausted, and look at me, rousing if there was a noise, checking the cubs, and then settling down, giving me a quick parental knowing look. Those were the moments I treasured. A change had come over me. I felt like my old self again, and I knew she was largely responsible. Now, with COVID confinement easing and my knee nearly back to rights, I'm feeling like my old self. I thought I was the one giving help, but really it was the opposite. I'm both in awe of her and very grateful. It was a really good day when we met.